I was in the bus. This was 4:30 in the morning. I got a call and it was her father who said she's no more. And all I said in that bus at 4:30 in the morning was Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. I didn't cry the moment I got the news. Be thankful that you have your job and a prosperous career. Between a girlfriend or a boyfriend and a job, if the job is taken away ना, आप भूल जाओगे कि मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड या बॉयफ्रेंड को क्या हुआ था. For certain moment, your focus would be, oh my god, इस महीने सैलरी नहीं आएगी.
First heartbreak in just one word.
Deep pain. I was 26 back then, had fallen in love for the very first time, was about to marry my first love when she met with a car accident. No matter how much we read about grief or heartbreak of any sort, be it breakup or otherwise, grief is a very personal experience. You cannot tell somebody to behave a certain way to come out of this. Because no matter what I tell this person, he or she is at a whole different tangent in that moment.
How does it feel to lose someone you really love? Some stories begin with a spark, some with a glance, but the ones we remember are the ones that never found an ending. So today on the podcast, we have none other than Ravinder Singh, the books that I've read as I grew as a kid. So Ravinder Singh, a writer of books like I Too Had a Love Story, Can Love Happen Twice, and many such other books. So today we are going to talk about love, relationships, and heartbreaks, which he's really, really good at. So this episode is going to be amazing. This episode is going to be very insightful. If you are someone trying to find answers to questions that you always wanted, this is the episode for you. Keep watching and keep learning. So hi Ravinder, how are you? First of all, I want to ask you, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. So before we start, Ravinder, so I've been following you on Instagram for a very long time and seeing your content. Obviously, your books I've read. Uh, we all want to know who is Ravinder in real life, apart from what we have seen you on Instagram or what we have imagined you as on in the books and everything. Who are you in real life, apart from your content, apart from your novels, apart from your work?
Okay. Now, I'm just a regular boy next door. I write books. I came to Instagram. I again make reels where it's all about written words again.
Yes.
I'm pretty much who I portray myself online and in my books. That is my true character. I think I take charm in the fact that कि मेरी ज़िंदगी खुली किताब की तरह है. So I don't imagine a different character when I'm talking about my character in my books. I don't imagine somebody else's words when I write them on the writing board in my reels. It is some total of everything that I portray. Maybe what you cannot see is my workout routine, the supplements that I take, my life with my mom and dad. They live with me. All that. And I think what the Instagram world doesn't know is that there's a fun, crazy side to me.
To you.
Yeah, I think I come across as a lot serious person right now. Also, if you are watching me on this very podcast, you are going to think that this is a very serious guy. I am serious in my mind, but there is this other side of me that my friend circle knows me.
Okay, so only your friends know about that. Only
Yeah,
when you're
the-
sitting with your
the
friends.
crazy side and chilling and जो भी मुंह में आ रहा है हम बातें कर रहे हैं. That's more of a stress buster for me to become this serious individual who can talk about what he thinks. I think there's a lot that goes on in my mind. I always feel I have so much to share, talk about. I'm somebody who carries opinions. I'm somebody who doesn't fit into a box, and I want to question certain things, want to challenge certain things. I love disagreements. I love to question why things are the way things are. Why did you vote for a particular party, or why you are okay with the system, or why you think relationships should go a certain way? Are you old school, modern, traditional? Whatever you are, why? I'm full of whys and I want to search my answers to
So
them.
there are constant questions going in your head, even like during your free time.
Yeah. It feels like I'm always at work. um, Once my mom came to my room and I was gazing at the sky and she was like, what are you doing? Kya dekh raha hai?" I said, I'm working. That's how an author works. He's always thinking. But there are constant questions that keep coming to my
But
mind.
when you talk about these thoughts, so we want to get into your mind and understand you,
Sure.
Ravinder.
Yeah.
So when
It's
you
a very
talk,
chaotic world. Let me just warn you.
so when we talk about your thoughts, Ravinder, like,
Mm.
is it only related to your next work that is coming up, or only related to work, or something
No.
fun,
Oh,
something
oh.
chaotic in your head?
Yeah, half of it is my work, half of it. So, for example, a gradual thought every morning is कि आज क्या content बनाना है. Okay, that is one thought. Again, it's a work thought.
Work thought.
And then there is a book which is going on. Okay, what should be the next chapter in the book? But largely, these are not the thoughts that bother me so much. There are thoughts that bother me are about the civic sense in this country.
Right.
They bother me big time. I mean, my blood boils. And then I have to think how to calm myself down. There is this anger in me regarding everything that is happening around me. Why don't people stand in a queue? Why do they rush? Why do they spit on roads? Uh, I mean, I live in a country, and I feel we could have been a nicer country if only people had civic sense. How do I stop that individual who has overtaken me wrongly and taken my share of road or my share of that queue? This bothers me. In that moment, I want to correct him, and then I see, oh, there is another guy who's trying to overtake him. So, who do I correct? This bothers me. It becomes a very ripple effect. So, as a country, I mean, we are the fifth largest economy on this planet, but civic sense wise, we are beyond 100 country. That's who we are. It bothers me. And I know if I say this, I once said, every time I come back to India from a trip abroad to a developed, and mind you, there are countries which are way behind in terms of economy. We are way better. Our per capita is way better than them, and yet the civic sense is
Better there.
way, we are lot behind them. So there are countries like Kazakhstan, for that matter, very clean countries.
You've been to Kazakhstan?
A friend of mine was talking about it. I had been to so many other countries which are way behind. I was in Bangkok. I was in Singapore. Singapore is still a far better
Far
country,
better country.
economically. But Thailand, I was there. People had that civic sense. We have such a huge shoreline. Our water could be so cleaner, but we chose to look the other way
Other
around.
way.
So I feel as a country, and because I am so I mentioned on my post, I feel sad that we are not a country of so many good people who care about environment. And somebody said, if you want to say this, get out of this country.
Oh, someone commented.
Someone commented, अगर तुम्हें इतनी problem है तो छोड़ के चले जाओ.
छोड़ के चले जाओ.
And then somebody is questioning me that you are not patriotic enough. I said, because I am patriotic enough is why I'm concerned about this country. And because you are not, is why you give a damn about, whatever we do. This whole chalta hai attitude. Now there are foreigners coming to our country and saying that, we can't play cricket or badminton in open air over here because the air is polluted. There are people who went back to their own countries. The air is, you can't breathe in this air. It is a national shame. Now, who is the patriotic here? So all of these things bother me a lot. मेरा खून खौलता है इनसे.
So moving on to something that I have grown to, Ravindra, like the very first novel of my life that I read was I Too Had a Love Story. And I think it changed a different perspective. And trust me, I'm not kidding you. I think after that novel, I had a very different perspective about love
Hmm.
and the whole idea of love, relationships, heartbreaks. And if you see today, that is exactly what I'm doing around. My content is around love and relationships, heartbreaks. I do podcast on love and relationships. So I think a lot has been also inspired from your book when I read it when I was in 10th grade. So moving to your very first book, I Too Had a Love Story, I think that was 2008 if I'm not wrong.
Correct.
So I want to understand, Ravinder, the whole plot of that story, the whole character of the story, how did it come to you? And we also want to know, was some part of the book related to your real life as well? How much was it related to? And how did that whole idea of writing your first book come into the picture?
So, the idea of the plot and story didn't come to me. I lived that story. It is my story,
Exactly.
entire, from the very beginning to the till the very end. Um, but I had never thought of writing that story. I wrote it as catharsis. I was in a lot of pain. I didn't know what to do with my life. An unfortunate tragedy. People who have read the book would know that uh, I was 26 back then, had fallen in love for the very first time, was about to marry my first love when she met with a car accident and she died. And all of this happened in the same week wherein we were supposed to get engaged. So the trauma hit me very hard. I didn't know how to deal with that chaos. On one end, we are planning a, a damn nice reception. Um, I remember all the gifts placed in my house. The wedding ring was there, and on the other hand, we all go to the Gurudwara for a whole different purpose. That instead of getting engaged, we are now gathered there for the last rites of somebody who I was in love with. So my world just changed so drastically. And at 26, I didn't know how to process this heartbreak for the very first time in my life. It's like you jump from the highest high to the lowest low of your life. And all that I could think of was that I need to write this story. That will be my closure. That's how I felt. So I would cry myself to sleep every night, and this kept happening for 3 months. When evening would fall, I would wonder how to deal with this evening because I felt it's going to suck me. Evenings were the black holes of my life. I tend to avoid them. There was this weird kind of loneliness. I wanted to be lost among people, so I started looking forward to mornings. I started looking forward to weekdays. I was working with Infosys back then, Infosys Bhubaneswar. A good part of that book was written
Yes.
in Bhubaneswar, and the other half was written in Chandigarh, Infosys. Uh, I hated weekends because that meant loneliness.
That will leave you alone on the
Alone, yeah. So and fortunately in corporate offices like Infosys there were like 4,000 people. I would be lost among those 4,000 people. I never wanted to come back to my home. So it was one weekend wherein I felt what to do with my life. And back then there was this calendar on my wall. There was this picture of Guru Nanak Dev in it, and I entered a monologue with him, and I felt like you took her away. I I begged you, I prayed to you to spare her. It didn't happen. Now you wait and watch. I will bring her back in this world in my own way. I started writing about her. Absolutely no idea what will become of this. I felt like um, I was in so much of pain that I felt I have to share my grief with hundreds of people. Only then I will be at ease. It happens when you feel that if you're happy, you want to share your happiness with others in order to multiply that happiness. And if you are grieving, if you are unhappy, you want to share it with multiple people so that you reduce your pain. And I felt like I need to share it with hundreds and
hundreds
thousands
and
of people
thousands of people.
to reduce the pain that I was in. So that's how I started writing that book of
And
mine.
when was this? Like after the whole incident
After
happened?
the whole incident, 2007. So February 22nd, 22nd February 2007 is when she passed away. 9th of February 2007 is when she had met with an accident. And ever since then, she was in hospital, I was in hospital, and we could not save her. 3 months later, I started writing that book. So 2007 entirely went into this. In 2008, the entire first half went into writing. The second half what was about finding a publisher. And December 1st, 2008, the book came out.
And with that, Ravinder, if you don't mind me asking you few more questions
Sure,
related to
sure,
that.
sure.
So I want you to like just go back to that year again
Hmm.
when everything happened. We
Hmm.
want to understand from you, because you are someone who knows about love, who I would say you know about love, you know about heartbreaks, because you've gone through something like that.
Hmm.
Now, all of us here listening to you would want to know, how did you feel at that moment when you were there, when things happened? So I just want to know, what were the first feelings that came out of you?
Um, you know, people mistook the word heartbreak to breakup back then. People who didn't know. When I said I'm having a heartbreak, they felt, oh, you will find somebody else, or she will come back. Are you writing to your ex? They didn't know what has happened. People were confusing it to be breakup. People who didn't know. Oh, so when I say, when people got to know about my book, they didn't know the story, but they got to know about this book, and they felt, oh, this is a love story with a sad ending. Oh, okay, breakup ho gaya. Um, I wanted to tell them that this is not breakup. She will not never come back. There is no scope of having a patch up. She's not my ex who is living. She's gone. Uh, at 26, fortunately, unfortunately, uh, that was the first death I had come across.
You've
And I
experienced.
never knew that it would be the death of my beloved. And especially when you grow up, when you have this vision that you want to fall in love one day. I was always that boy who wanted to fall in love in school and got to know school में तो uniform पहनते हैं वहाँ पे नहीं प्यार होता, because back then in 80s and 90s the movies that we used to see, we used to experience that, oh, love happens in college time. So I waited to go to college, that uniform नहीं पहनेंगे फिर प्यार हो जाएगा. And then I landed up in an engineering college where there were 80 boys and 10 girls.
Oh my
Odds
God.
were against me. यहाँ पे भी कुछ नहीं होगा. And then I felt like, okay, the economical condition at my family isn't that great. I need to focus on my studies, make a living. All of that happened, and then you find this girl who you truly fall in love with. It it just changed, and because it wasn't a disease, it was like she's there today and she was gone tomorrow. It happened, so soon. You're never prepared. And I'll tell you, no matter how much we read about grief or heartbreak of any sort, be it breakup or otherwise, grief is a very personal experience. You cannot tell somebody to
Oh, yeah.
behave a certain way to come out of this. Because no matter what I tell this person, he or she is at a whole different tangent in that moment. तो मैं जो भी उसको बोल रहा हूँ, तुम्हें ये करना चाहिए, वो करना चाहिए, at times we fail to process where exactly he or she is.
Yes, exactly.
And it's extremely difficult. I have experienced grief to be a very personal experience. In that moment, you find your peace, you find your calm. All somebody can help you with is that these are the tools. You may do this, you may do that. Maybe you are not able to see, so let me just show you that this
These are
exists
the
in case you want to. So feel free to go ahead. It becomes extremely difficult to hold yourself back from any sort of substance abuse, for that matter. There is so much good that, because you are in a very vulnerable state at that point in time. I remember, no matter how logical I am, there were days I would wait for hint. So between those 9th February and 22nd February, if somebody would have told me that go out on the street and start eating pebbles and this will save your girlfriend, I would have
Would
done
have.
that. No matter how logical I am. In that moment, I give a damn. That thinking nerve has gone numb. The brain shuts. So you want to do anything. I understand, even though I will never do this, but I understand what it would take somebody to start believing in something which is so wrong.
So wrong.
So you give up on the doctor and you go to a tantric.
Tantric.
What goes in that person's mind? And what do we start believing? I have experienced atheist recalling Hanuman Chalisa in that moment. Because it's very easy to say, oh, I don't believe in God. But when everybody, raises their
Haath
hands
hata dete
up,
hain.
we can't do. Who do you go to?
There's
It
only one.
happens. And you will experience this. No matter how much you do not believe in God, but up above in the sky, when you are in that aircraft and it goes into turbulence, you will say God.
Exactly.
It is that kind of moment on ground when somebody is dying. You want to believe in so many things. I experienced that at a whole different level. I mean, I was willing to bargain that death with somebody else's death closer to me. I had gone to that stage in my mind that, oh, you know what? Don't take her. Take somebody else from my life who's close to me. I was in that stage. I was trying to bargain. Now I feel ashamed of myself that when I was 26, I said this.
Said this.
You know, if I have to sacrifice, take somebody else, not her. Because this is something I have waited for so long. I feel bad when I'm saying this. But you wanted to know what I felt back then? This is what
This
I
is what
felt
you-
back then.
And Ravinder, with all that, how does that heartbreak? Because when we talk about ourselves in today's world, we definitely, what you are mentioning about heartbreak and breakup, these are two different things. What we go through on our daily lives is like we go through breakups. Okay, इससे breakup हुआ फिर दूसरे से, but what you felt is like pure heartbreak. So we want to understand what went into your mind when you lost her, and how does it feel to lose someone you really love?
I remember holding this conversation with her sister, and we all sat in that room and we looked at the door, and then her sister said, because they have grown up with her, they felt like, I feel like she will again come from that room, but I know that she will not come. It just feels like she's going to come. It takes time to realize that that person is not there anymore. Uh, and then you deal with dreams. You start seeing her in your dream. And
Was it happening to
dreams.
you as well when all of that, like, were you seeing dreams of her?
Yeah. All my life was all about her. I started seeing her in my dreams. There was, interestingly, those were the moments that she was alive, and I didn't know that she is no more in those dreams. And I was alive in my dream, and she's alive in the dream. In fact, in that very book, there is a dream sequence which has been written, and people have talked so much about it. I remember when I got the news. Interestingly, I didn't cry the moment I got the news. I was in the bus. This was 4:30 in the morning. I got a call, and it was her father who said, "She's no more." And all I said in that bus at 4:30 in the morning was "Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru." That's all I said, and I think my phone fell down. And now I'm waiting when the bus will reach my hometown. I will get down. I have to go back to my parents. I I get down at 5:30. I reach Burla. Burla is a very small town in Odisha, in another district, Sambalpur. I get down there. I go 6:30. My mom and dad, they are waiting for me. They are about to ask me how is she doing, and much before they say, I just hold their hands and I make them sit and say, she's no more. And my dad starts crying. He breaks down miserably. I'm looking at my dad and I'm wondering why I haven't cried. Uh, shock is the first thing that hits you. You don't cry, you are in shock. I My mom was trying to make me comfortable. She made me tea and a toast and I ate it. And then because it was an overnight journey, I my mom told me now you can go to bed if you want to sleep. I slept. I wake up. I then make a call to my best friend who lives in Pune. I have to tell him. When I'm telling him is when I start crying.
Start crying.
And there is no end to these tears now. It it becomes so real that she's gone. And then comes a phase wherein you are worried that what will happen of your life now without this person. The whole idea of do I have to reinvent this wheel? How do I find somebody again? How do I make that person? How do I fall in love? And what do I do of this love? Because I'm still in love. That person is gone suddenly, but I'm still in love. What to do of this love? That becomes a question. Maybe it's not the question with so many others. It was with me. And I think the reason I landed up pouring my heart out in that book was I was trying to find a way to deal with this love. What do I do with it? So let me write my love story with this love because it is so dear to me that I want to tell the world that I fell in love with a girl who is no more, and I'm that guy who is still in love with this girl who is no more. And because I can't express my love, I can't hold her in my hands, I will write about it. I will write about my love story because it is a story that needs to be told. It is my love story and hence it's out of the world love story. I have to write it. So that was my way to survive and move on. So now when I look back, uh, I don't cry. There's a smile on my lips, on my face that I was there. I happened to fall in love with this girl who's no more, and I loved her to an extent that more than 1 million people have read that book by now, and they say that this is a damn good love story. Somebody loved, you don't. I mean, you can still cry that it's over, but I try to take uh, that joy that it happened to me, that I experienced something
Out of
so eternal that I thought to capture it in that particular book. The solace that I also take is that one day I will be gone from this world,
and the
but
book
my love story is going to stay
will
back
going to stay
for
back.
generations yet to come and read about it. Yeah.
When you're talking, I honestly, Ravinder, like when you're talking and you're telling me this story, and when I'm revisiting everything, it's just giving me goosebumps right now because I can feel you how what like when you talk about love, this is what you talk about love. This is how you talk about love. So I can feel what you are trying to convey, what you are trying to say,
Mm.
and people who have also gone through similar things, they might have definitely felt. I'm sure after reading your books, as you mentioned, them more than 1 million people have read your book. There might be DMs, messages, emails,
Yeah.
sharing their stories.
Yeah.
Then at that moment, how do you feel that there are so many people who could relate to something like that? Your love story is eternal out in the world. How do you feel about those moments?
A, I could empathize them. Um, People started writing to me about their relationships and the problems that they are in. Even though I may not have a solution for them, they felt that merely my listening to their love story will help
Help,
them.
absolutely.
All that they felt is that this guy, इससे बात करूंगी ना मैं, मुझे अपने दिल को अच्छा लगेगा. I didn't even know that somebody would write to me. I had simply made an email ID because my publisher back then had told me to make one, that make an email ID in the name of the book, I too had a love story at the gmail.com. I made it because it was to be put on that author bio. And this is year 2008. Let's move beyond, let's go back in time. There is no Instagram, there
No,
is
no
no
Instagram,
Facebook, there
exactly.
is Orkut.
Orkut, yes.
On Orkut, there is this scrapbook concept and there is a community being made. I didn't know all of this. And I got a call someday, and this particular girl says, "Are you Ravinder?" And I'm in Chandigarh Infosys. I said, "Yes, who are you?" And then she said, "Are you Ravinder Singh?" I said, "Yes." And then her third question was, "Are you Ravinder Singh who wrote I Too Had a Love Story?" And this is 20th of December 2008. The book came out on 1st December 2008. I said, yes, I am. And then she breaks down on the call.
Oh my
She's
God.
crying. I said, what happened? This is my first call. This is my first reader who I do not know. Of course, I had my focus group readers who are my friends and they had read and they had reviewed. But this is the first reader who's giving me a call. And I said, how did you manage to get my number? And she said, you are the seventh Ravinder Singh I'm calling. I said,
What
how?
are you
And then,
saying?
yeah. And then she said, you. I said, how did you manage to talk to those 6 Ravinder Singhs? She said, because you work at Infosys. And I remember that back then Infosys had this outlook on which you type Ravinder Singh and all the Infosys Ravinder Singh will pop up. And she somehow had a friend who worked at Infosys who gave her all the Ravinder Singh's number. So she had been trying. And then I said, okay, so that's how you got my number. What do you want to talk? And then she said, I called you. I had to arrange your number because you had not been responding to my emails for past 1 week. I said, emails? Which email ID? She said, the one mentioned on the book. And then I recall, oh, there is an email ID mentioned in the book. And then this is also the time wherein we don't have Wi-Fi's at home. I go to an internet cafe.
Check.
I log into that email ID just to check. And there are more than 20 emails sitting with subject line, your book, I Too Had a Love Story, my first book, I Too Had a Love Story. Those are the subject lines. There are 20 emails and I read. And these are not emails written in 2 lines. These are pages written. People have poured in their heart. I am paying extra to that internet cafe person.
To read
I
that.
sit and I start going to internet cafe almost every alternate evenings. Every time I go there, there are more emails now because more people are getting to know about the book. So it becomes a ripple effect again at a whole different level. People have been writing to me ever since then till today, to an extent that I started feeling that it's my moral responsibility to talk about relationships, to take their calls, to answer them, to make content on it. So that's how my world has changed
And
because I landed up writing a book.
And I'm sure like there's so many people who've been like you've helped them like indirectly. You don't even know about a lot of people that you've helped. Like,
That's true. I mean, it's so good to hear this. Initially, I felt like people are just kind enough to tell me this, but then I run into people and they gave me examples of how I helped them. Because again, I'm a very curious soul. I tell them, आप मुझे अच्छा फील कराने के लिए बोल रहे हो. सिर्फ नहीं फील कराने के लिए नहीं बोल रही हूँ मैं. You genuinely helped me. I said, how? And then said, that content of yours. And then they take me back in time. Acha, how did that help? My husband and I, we did this. We have put a writing board right on top of our fridge. And in that reel of yours, you had said, on that writing board, write one good thing about each other, because bad things you will remember when you're fighting, but good things you tend to forget. Now those are 2 things I've written about my husband. After a fight, the next day when I go up in the morning to open the fridge, I read that one nice thing and I recall, हाँ यार इतना भी बुरा नहीं है.
wow.
And this lady is standing in the queue at Bombay airport. We are in the same flight, and she turns and tells me, oh, you are the writing board guy, right? She had forgotten my name also. She's also going through some sort of shock. And then she said, Ranveer Singh. I said, I'm Ravinder Singh. And then she said, you have brought a positive change in my life, your writing board. So, and now I imagine there is a guy in Gurgaon who makes writing board reels out of his balcony and is able to change somebody else's life who lives in Bombay. That is such a good feel.
It's so wholesome to hear what you are saying, Ravinder.
Right, it is.
Right. And I'm so happy that, I want to understand this, Ravinder. Like, you've gone through something so huge in your life, an incident like that. For a lot of us who are listening to this episode, we are also trying to move on from certain things. It can be relationships, it can be just few feelings that we have built in the past. So I think there's no one better for us to know it from than you, that you've gone through a major heartbreak. How do you move on? Like, how do you really move on in life and leave back all those memories and try to build a new life with someone else? How do you do that?
Couple of things. A, the determination. This has to come from you. I want to move on. This voice you need to echo multiple times. I want to move on. If you do not want to move on, no matter भगवान भी आ जाएंगे आपको move on नहीं करा
नहीं
पाएंगे.
करा पाएंगे.
You have to. Two, understand that you are not alone going through this heartbreak. There are millions of people right now in different parts of this planet going through this heartbreak. You're not alone. The moment you feel that I am not alone, you start feeling better off.
Yeah.
You're not alone in that sea. There are so many boats in the same sea. How do you feel? Which one would you like to pick? Of course, the sea wherein you can
There
see
are
so many other boats. Because there is a camaraderie. कि अच्छा अकेले नहीं करना है, हम सब इकट्ठे हैं, great. Somehow that sense comes.
Nice.
एक टेररिस्ट ने आपको पकड़ लिया, हाईजैक कर लिया, उस प्लेन में आप हो और 200 लोग हैं, यू विल फील बेटर ऑफ कि अच्छा हम इकट्ठे हैं. Somehow that psychology works too, which is truth. You know, there are millions who have gone through that heartbreak. There are trillions who will go through this heartbreak. आप कोई अलग से नहीं बनाए गए हो. 3, be thankful that you have your job and a prosperous career if you have. I'm telling you, between a girlfriend or a boyfriend and a job, if the job is taken away ना, आप भूल जाओगे कि मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड या बॉयफ्रेंड को क्या हुआ था. For certain moment, your focus would be, oh my God, इस महीने सैलरी नहीं आएगी. एक बड़ा दुख आपके छोटे दुख को निगल लेता है. Be aware of this. I am not saying that this should happen to you. Think to yourself that could there be a bigger pain in your life? सड़क के बाहर जो भिखारी है उसको नहीं पता रात को वो क्या खाएगा. Count your blessings. You are better off. There are certain things which are so good about you. Of course, this is a problem. I'm not undermining, but I'm saying let's do a reality check of where you are. Of course, it is painful. I'm not denying that also. Of course, it's going to hurt you. You are going to have sleepless nights. I had sleepless nights. If I go through a breakup today, I will still have sleepless nights. But I will tell myself, I had been there, gone through this, I will go through this again. You know why a heartbreak hurts? Because we wake up with this void, खालीपन के साथ. वो थी, वो था, अब वो नहीं है. We wake up with this void and we go to the bed with this void. I want you to fill this void not with another human being right now because you are in grieving phase. You are not ready. Let's not replace the old girlfriend with a new girlfriend and feel good. वो हो नहीं पाएगा. You will do injustice to that new girlfriend also in this entire process. Fill that void with something that makes you grow. Professionally, personally, health-wise, monetary, in whatever parameter. When you grow, आपको लगता है कि मेरी लाइफ के ना चलो ठीक है एक डिपार्टमेंट खराब है बट बाकी अच्छा चल रहा है. Focus on becoming a better version of yourself. Give yourself a goal. That goal should grow you, either professionally or personally, or maybe both. Find joy in reaching another milestone of this particular goal. I gave myself a goal that I will write this book.
Complete the book. And
I may give myself a goal. You know what? For next 3 months, I will take away 2 hours of my day and madly focus into bodybuilding. Or I will set up a new YouTube channel. I want to kickstart podcast. I want to do something interesting. This new thing should not be a boring task. If you love Excel sheet, go ahead. If you find Excel sheet boring, don't get into that task. If you find creativity, you always wanted to bake a cake, give yourself a goal so that you get so busy with it that this void starts decreasing in your life. If I wanted to set up a baking shop, now is the time. उसको भुलाने के लिए मैं ये करूँगा because ये मेरे control में है. The other person is not in my control. I cannot decide. So the moment you fill this void with exciting things in your life, do different things. If you have never tried meditation, go
for it.
Go for it. And spirituality, go for it. You may feel, yaar, it's not for me. Oh, I see these monks, pata nahi ye kya karte. That may be your thought process. No disrespect to monks, but I'm talking about a cool dude.
People, how they
You know
think about it.
how they perceive. You will start finding so much of solace from those very monks who have so much greatness to offer. You know, all these sad songs that you felt, अरे मुझे तो party music करना है ये. Now suddenly sad songs will give you meaning to your life. You can relate to those words now. Till now you were relating to the music. फिर आप सोचते हो कि यार ये lyrics किसने लिखे होंगे? क्योंकि अब Heartbreak opens that creative window of your mind. You become so vulnerable. You can empathize more. Try to look at the positivity of the Heartbreak also. It has immense capability to transform your life. It made me a creative person. I mean, there was always this creative person within me. A Heartbreak made me realize that it can actually come out of its shell and take a whole different, shape and form. In fact, that book starts with this couplet in Hindi which says, तेरे जाने का असर कुछ ऐसा हुआ मुझ पर, तुझे ढूंढते ढूंढते मैंने खुद को पा लिया. Otherwise, I would not have come across an author in me. It's a blessing in disguise. So, Heartbreak has immense capability to transform your life. Focus that the channeling is so that it's a positive transformation, not a negative transformation.
I think that is why a lot of people, they go into gymming, they start off with their careers and they reach the top after major heartbreaks. And like especially a lot of guys, when they go through a heartbreak, they start going to the gym, hitting the gym, like ab main body banaunga, I'll be a better version of myself now. So I think
it also has to do a lot with our psyche also. You know, we are working on ourselves. We want to become a better version of ourselves so that we attract better. That also is a thought process. And to go to gym and work on yourself, workout has always been a low hanging goal in our minds anyway. तो by default सबसे पहले यही आता है. ठीक है? I'm not saying that this is the only thing that you should pick. You should work out irrespective of your heartbreaks. But if something of this sort has happened, try to change the course of your life, because this is what you are experiencing right now is a potential energy. You need to convert this into kinetic energy in some form and use this madness to derive something a lot more meaningful for yourself.
Do you think, Ravinder, if the whole incident did not happen,
maybe I would not have discovered this.
You would have never discovered the author.
Maybe I would have not discovered an author with me that way. Maybe I would not have thought of writing a book. Maybe it becomes a catalyst.
Yeah.
It fast processed this entire thing. Maybe there was an author in me who would have come out after 10 years.
After 10 years, exactly.
But not in that very moment. Not this madness that everybody is rejecting me and still there is this hunger, मुझे तो करना है. मैं जिद्दी बन गया था. मैं शायद जिद्दी नहीं बनता. But that's what this
Heartbreak
did to me. Yeah.
And again, there's another book of yours, but just not talking about the book. In general, if we have to ask, can we really fall in love again?
The question right now is so that when this title came, Can Love Happen Twice? People ask me, can love really happen twice? Now we are in an era where we are saying, can love happen twice at the same time? So the world has drastically changed in past 1 decade. Yes, it can happen. It can happen. In fact, I will go ahead to say that the second time it happens, people who value love, who have truly undergone the pain of losing it at the first time, try their best to hold on to this love, because they know what loss feels like. It is this loss that makes them safeguard, that makes them love them madly, because they also understand that we don't know for how long this may also last, irrespective of you wanting it as much. So yeah, it does it can happen.
And a lot of people, after they go through the first heartbreak, they hold themselves to a lot of things. Say the guards are up now, they are not able to trust someone, or they really want to love again, they really want to get into a relationship, they really want to get married again,
Yeah.
but there is something within them that holds them back all the time.
True.
So for people like those, how can they push those things behind and come forward and actually be open to falling in love again? How can they start doing that?
So insecurities are always there, but we also need to believe that the world is very diverse. I believe, genuinely believe that there are good people, and I also believe that if I go on a date with somebody, I have my own set of securities. What I fail to think in this moment is that that other person is coming with her set of insecurities.
Insecurity.
The problem is we want others to address our insecurities first. We forget that let me address her insecurities. We don't talk it out enough. Can we start going on a date with the idea that it's not about my insecurities that we are going to address? I want to give that person such a good time that he or she feels, यार ये तो बड़ा अच्छा निकला. He talked about things, those are my insecurities. You know, and those insecurities that I have held on to myself, and the fact that he or she is sensitive enough to understand that, I think the problem is we go on a date with the idea that अब तो relationship करनी है शुरू. Either it's a yes or a no. There are no in-betweens. My problem is that if we go on a date hoping that there could be in-betweens also, we may not land up becoming romantic partners, but can we become good friends?
Good friends.
Can we forget about finding that one? Can I find my people? Can I have my life full of these 5, 7, 10 people who I can invite to my house parties? Can they be on my fast dialing list? Can I become somebody who becomes their 3 a.m. friends? ये हम सोचते नहीं है, हम सिर्फ 0-1. Can he be a partner? No.
Or not a partner.
खत्म, किसी और को. And now because life is too short, these words YOLO, इनके हम गलत कॉन्सेप्ट उठा के बैठे हैं. You know, you only live once, so I want this one person, otherwise अब मैं adjustment नहीं करूँगा. And we are confused. You know, compromise suddenly has become a bad word. It depends how you look at it. And today's the entire movement, my problem is not with feminism, my problem is with pseudo-feminism. These are all good words. People have made sacrifices for love. I mean, these are the stories that you hear, right? Why do you listen to all these or watch these movies and those eternal love stories? In all of them, there were compromises, there were sacrifices made. I think we keep inventing a nicer word and say that word is derogatory. Forget about words. Let's talk about underlying feeling. You want to call it compromise? I call it accommodating a partner for the larger good. Can I do this? The problem is, in today's time, everybody wants the fruit of love, but nobody wants to water the plant of relationship, which is why the plant dies and you never get to that fruit. We are living on this dating app wherein millions of us are trying to find that one common thing called love. We are a generation which is so advanced, so well informed, and all of us are trying to find one thing and still failing to get it while involving technology into this. And we are failing to find love. If there are millions of men and women trying to find one thing and we have built-in technology, what is stopping us? We were never this distracted. We were never this unhappy with no matter what we get. Because the moment we get, we devalue it. You know, as I say, जो ना मिले वो सोना, जो मिल गया सो मिट्टी. You wanted that very person till the time he was not responding, and now he has responded, and suddenly you feel, oh, he responded. वो उतने लेवल का नहीं होगा. Somehow मुझे वो भाव जो खाता है वही पसंद आ रहा है. It has, strangely, it has become a norm for us.
So, Ravinder, we are talking about compromises, okay? And this is one of the biggest questions that I have in mind, and a lot of my friends have it in mind. And like, I put out stories, and this is one question that people really want to know. We talk about compromises. So, in today's world, when we are getting married, so are we really getting married because we are in love, or because it's a compromise again, or just because our parents want us to get married, or there's a societal pressure? That is why we are getting married.
Everybody has their own respective answers. But let me tell you that most of them will tell a lie and say, I'm getting married because I want to get married. I hope this be the genuine answer. Because only then you should get married. Don't get married because your parents want you to get married. Don't get married because others will say, oh, teri to shaadi nahi hui. There must be some problem with you that you are not married. Marriage is about your life. You are in charge of your life. Because if marriage goes wrong, you cannot raise a finger and say, because the society said, hold them responsible. No, when you are fighting your divorce, it's you. You are the one who's dealing with that alimony, or who should take the custody of the child if there is a child. Be responsible. I think anybody who enters the school of marriage has to be responsible enough to enter that school of marriage. You should not be, somebody who is getting married because somebody else wants you to or expects out of you. It should purely be your choice.
And don't you think in the same picture, parents should also understand this thing? Because
they should, but somehow, and I think some parents now are trying to sense that they are getting to understand this because of the influence of others on their respective lives. But largely, I think it will take one more generation for us, another decade or two, wherein you will see the kind of parents who would say that, okay, marriage is not the first priority. Understand that our parents are also conditioned
to be in
think
that
this
position.
way. आप पैदा होते हो, आप पढ़ाई करते हो, फिर आप जॉब करते हो, and then you get married, and then you produce kids. This has been fed into their DNA. Any deviation from this, something is wrong.
Wrong. Yeah.
And they feel it's my moral duty to bring my child to the right track. So unknowingly, they are doing something that they should not be doing. And this is changing. People have more exposure now. People are well traveled. They are seeing the other part of the world also and asking a question to themselves. Introspection. This has begun. Of course, we are at the tip of the iceberg, but things will change, is what I feel.
Ravinder, I want you to give one message to all the parents out there. Okay, to all those parents who are really, I won't use the word force, but actually asking their kids to get married to someone they want to get married to, not the kid wants to get. So one message to all the parents.
I think if I could change one thing about how parents think, तो और मैं ये हिंदी में कहना चाहता हूँ, because largely this is the language that our parents understand. मुझे लगता है कि हमें इस चीज़ को समझना पड़ेगा कि आपके बच्चे इस दुनिया में आपके थ्रू आए हैं. They are not your slaves. And I'm using a harsh word, कि वो आपके हिसाब से चलेंगे नहीं, वो आपके थ्रू आए हैं. And they didn't ask you to produce them. You produce them out of your will. अब हम कहते हैं कि अब मैं सुनता क्या उन लोगों से, इसी दिन के लिए तुझे पाल पोस के बड़ा किया था. जब आपने पैदा किया है तो आप पाल पोस के बड़ा भी तो आप करोगे ना. But that doesn't mean कि आप उससे उसका हक छीन लोगे, that who he or she wants to get married to, or whether or not he or she wants to get married to. आपका क्या काम है? आपने अपने बच्चों की परवरिश इस तरह की कि 18 के बाद 20 के बाद आपने उनको एक लेवल पे छोड़ दिया. जब वो कमाना शुरू कर रहे हैं, नाउ दे आर ऑल्सो अडल्ट्स, दे आर वेरी केपेबल ऑफ बिकमिंग अ पेरेंट ऑल्सो. ये आपको समझना पड़ेगा. और वक्त बदल रहा है. यू नो fewer things about the new generation, the new world than them, which means they are well informed. आपको शायद पेटीएम चलाना नहीं आएगा, ये लोग क्रिप्टो करेंसी की बात कर रहे हैं, कुछ नया सीख रहे हैं. ठीक है, मैं मानता हूं कि आपको लाइफ का ज़्यादा बड़ा तजुर्बा है, उस तजुर्बे के साथ इनकी लाइफ के डिसीजन आप ना लें। आपने अपनी लाइफ का डिसीजन लिया था कि मुझे इनको पैदा करना है, इनको स्कूल में भेजना है, ऑल ऑफ दैट। अब यहाँ से जो उनकी लाइफ है ना, वो उनकी लाइफ है। यू गिव देम इनपुट्स, बट लेट देम मेक देयर मिस्टेक्स ऑल्सो। डोंट बी अ पार्टी टू देम, इट इज़ देयर लाइफ, यू डोंट ओन दैट लाइफ। मतलब मैं बात करता हूँ यूपी बिहार में जहाँ पे कि ऑनर किलिंग हो रही है, तुमने प्यार कैसे कर लिया, मैं उसका गला काट दूंगा। आई मीन you are a disgrace, I'm so sorry, you're wrong. So
Absolutely.
those are the extremes to how parents treat their grooms and the respective wife of that groom. बहुत जगह बहुत गड़बड़ चल रही है। पेरेंट्स को भी बोलना चाहूँगा, दूसरों को भी बोलना चाहूँगा, बट बिकॉज यू स्पेसिफिकली
asked for the parents.
फॉर द पेरेंट्स, योर किड्स हैव कम टू दिस planet via you. You know, you don't own their life, it is their life, let them live. वो उस रिलीजन को भी जिसमें आप बिलीव करते हैं, वो उसको मानना चाहते हैं, नहीं मानना चाहते, उनकी लाइफ है। डोंट फोर्स कि मेरा बेटा उसी रिलीजन को मानेगा जिसको मैं मानता हूँ। इट इज़ हिज लाइफ, लेट हिम लिव, गेट इन्फ्लुएंस, मे बी समथिंग गुड विल हैपन, मे बी समथिंग बैड विल हैपन। इस हिसाब से तो हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि ऑल पेरेंट्स आर गुड एंड द किड्स आर नॉट। हाउ विल दे ग्रो? कोई किसी से कह रहा, दैट फेमस जोक कि फलाने के बेटे को देख, वो कहाँ पढ़ के आया है, वो कितना कमा रहा है। एंड आई स्टार्टेड आस्किंग दैट, यू नो, व्हाई डोंट यू लुक एट Ambanis, their fathers, they are also earning so much. So every son can say this to the father also, that I wish my father was as rich as Akash father. हाँ, ऐसा तो नहीं बोलता ना, हम यही कहते हैं शर्मा जी के बेटे को देखो, उसका बेटा ऐसा कर रहा है। Nobody says कि शर्मा जी के पापा को देखो। The reverse also is true, पर कोई बात ही नहीं करता। Because somehow we have given the license to that generation कि आप इसको बोल सकते हो, पलट के सुन नहीं सकते।
सो आई थिंक दैट्स अगर वही जैसे हिंदी में बात करने के लिए कि ये पेरेंट्स के लिए एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट मैसेज है कि थैंकफुली, एंड आई विल जस्ट गिव यू एन एग्जांपल ऑफ माय मॉम, कि मेरी मॉम भी शी वाज इन दैट माइंडसेट कि पहले वो भी ये सोचती थी कि हाँ शादी जल्दी हो जाए जो मैं पसंद करूँगी, बट ओवर द ईयर्स लाइक व्हेन वी हैव रियली स्टार्टेड टॉकिंग टू आवर मॉम कि 5 साल में ऐसा चेंज हुआ है कि नाउ मॉम शी इज़ लर्नड। अगर एंड अगेन एक मैसेज टू ऑल द किड्स, ये पेरेंट्स हैं जो 50 साल ऑलरेडी बिता लिए हैं इस धरती पे, सो यू कांट एक्सपेक्ट देम टू चेंज इन अ डे, इट विल टेक सम टाइम।
करेक्ट।
कि जैसे तुम तुम उनको आज बोलो एंड तुम चाहती हो कि वो डिसीजन आज ही ले ले कि हाँ इसको भी पसंद कर लो, ये मेरा बॉयफ्रेंड है, मेरे को आज ही शादी करनी है, दैट विल नॉट हैपन। यू हैव टू गिव इन टाइम एंड विद टाइम थिंग्स आर गोइंग टू गेट बेटर बिकॉज दे नीड टाइम टू अंडरस्टैंड थिंग्स एज वेल।
करेक्ट। So वो उनके लिए वो शौक आएगा। इनफैक्ट देयर वाज दिस होल रील गोइंग ऑन वेयरइन सम एल्डरली लेडी हैड मॉक्ड अ यंग गर्ल कि ये क्या पहन के तुम घूमती रहती हो। वो गुड़गांव के मॉल में था वो चीज, एंड दैट गर्ल स्टार्टेड मेकिंग वीडियो। नहीं कैमरा में देख के बताओ क्या बोला आपने आंटी, क्या बोला, एंड बोथ आर रॉन्ग। दैट elderly woman is out of her place to judge this girl and give her a ज्ञान कि तुम ऐसे कपड़े पहन के क्यों आई हो, and this girl's reaction to her कि अब मैं बताती हूँ कि मैं तुम्हें कैसे ट्रोल करूंगी, हाँ फोन में देख के बोलो, वो उसके पीछे पड़ गई। My sincere advice to this young girl first is she is conditioned that way. 50 साल से वो यही देखते आ रही, उनके दिमाग में बैठ चुका है वो। I know what she has told you is wrong, but she doesn't know that what she is doing is wrong.
Yeah.
The way you are reacting to her, the way you are making her feel now, she is entitled to feel what she did was right. क्योंकि तुम जिस तरह से उसको काउंटर कर रहे हो ना, ये तरीका सही नहीं है। So हमें भी ये समझना पड़ेगा कि यार वो जनरेशन क्या देख के आई है। हम तो इंटरनेट वाली जनरेशन है ना। The next generation was born on internet. They can't imagine a world जहाँ मोबाइल फोन्स नहीं थे। So the first question comes, अगर मोबाइल फोन नहीं थे तो फिर तुम लोग कैसे चलते थे? I mean, I come from that life जहाँ पे मेरे घर में टेलीफोन नहीं था। I used to write letters, and they were like, you used to write letters? Were there pigeons who would deliver? So they go in that era because they have read in the history book. Understand that the way it is so difficult for you to understand that world, it is so difficult for them to understand this world.
That is so true. That is so true. And I think, Ravinder, especially when we talk about you, you have fallen in love in an age, I think, when we were all, like, most of my audience is young audience. Like
Most of my readers who have read that book read in 9th and 10th itself.
Exactly. So, like, when we talk about love from your age to now, so how has love changed for you over the years? Maybe not just with your life, but
Yeah.
the love that you have seen outside.
No, I have I have seen the entire spectrum. I've been born in this generation. I was born in 82. I'm 43 right now. I happen to see a love life wherein arranged marriage was the only norm. And then came 90s. People started talking about love marriages.
Wow.
And this is also the time जहाँ स्कूल कॉलेज में बॉयफ्रेंड गर्लफ्रेंड्स नहीं होते थे. This was a concept driven we used to watch in Hollywood movies. वहाँ से अच्छा there is something called in college sophomore years where you go for this ball dance etc etc. हमारे यहाँ तो कुछ भी नहीं होता. हमारे यहाँ तो ऐसा होना चाहिए. Then came early 2000. Live-in was the new word.
Oh my God.
People said, "Oh, you are bold. Oh my God, बिना शादी कर रहोगे." Crazy. And then came the next decade, wherein gay marriages were being talked about, and homosexuality came into picture. This is the time wherein we felt, oh, two boys can be in love, two girls can be in love. So from arranged marriages to love marriages to live-in relationship to homosexuality, the entire spectrum, and there is so much. And now we're talking about situationship and whatnot. It's a whole chaos that we are in.
So how do you feel about it? Like when you look at it from that point till today's
Change
point?
is the only constant.
And
I see it as that more people have the flexibility and freedom. In this decade, what I'm seeing are divorces. They were never this rampant. In India, there are more people who are going to get divorced in coming decades than now put all together.
And well, why is that? Why is that happening so much?
Because we have revolutionized the idea of freedom. This whole YOLO culture also is a part to that. But more importantly, for good reasons, women have become financially independent. Now, I don't want to take this away just to save marriages. Women should be financially independent. So what has happened now, for so long, because they were dependent on the man,
husband.
The idea was shadi to nibhani hai because you can't think of it. So the man felt there was this breadwinner and the homemaker arrangement. Now we have changed that arrangement. Now the arrangement has become of two breadwinners.
Two breadwinners.
And when there are two breadwinners, there are more clashes when it comes to relationships. And when there are clashes, both breadwinners say, why should I change for you? And we have revolutionized the idea of freedom. So we see that if there is freedom to step out of this marriage, why not step out, then make those necessary adjustments? Because the idea of stepping out makes us feel that I am living on my own terms and conditions. There used to be a norm wherein the success of marriage used to define your success. It is no more so.
No more so.
What defines my success now? Did I live a happy life or not? If I'm finding that happiness in marriage, I will stay. If I'm not finding that happiness in marriage, I will step out. Because to me, my successful life is I lived happily.
And do you think going forward, love is going to become more chaotic in the world?
It already is. I wonder how more chaotic can it become. So in next 2 decades, this entire spectrum, I was at one literature festival with Times of India a couple of years back, and they asked me this question, what do you visualize? ऐसा क्या नया होगा प्यार की दुनिया में आने वाले सालों में? And my answer 7 years back was that we will have robots in our room. And those robots will be of shape and size that you want. They will behave the way you want. So imagine if I have a crush on certain actress, I will have the flexibility of a robot, a human-like robot designed after that actress. I want her to be my girlfriend and she will become my girlfriend. That movie, Her or She, there was this operating system. The man happens to fall in love with this operating system. The moment he enters his home, there is this voice which is, "Are you back, darling?" And because we cannot control humans, but we can
Control
control and
robots.
tune these robots to behave the way we want them to behave, to even surprise us. You know, she will behave or he will behave in a manner that will surprise you. And they may also cuddle us because they are human like robots. So much is going to happen. And it's an irony that humans could not find love in other humans. So we are now looking towards machine and we are trying to find that love. When humans felt the need of intimacy during COVID in lockdown and they couldn't find another human beings, we all, so many of us went and adopted pets.
Yes.
Because
that's
we
so
have
true.
this need to cuddle, to love, to call somebody, and it has to be a living being. Now, unfortunately, we are going towards the machine part, but as long as you find solace in machines also, why not experiment that out?
That is so. I would be saying that it's so surprising to hear something like going forward. Definitely in the next 20, 30 years.
It will definitely happen. It is happening in
It is
Japan right
happening
now. Yeah, it
already.
is,
Yes.
it is happening, and it will be more rampant. The cost will come down, and on one day you would want this human-like robot to become somebody else.
Somebody.
The persona will
Oh my
change,
God. Oh my
and
God.
we want to experience all of that.
I think I'm also a 90s kid, but so because I'm a 90s kid, I believe in the idea of love, believe in the idea of writing letters, meeting, and all of it. I think people, all the kids who are just coming into the world right now, will not be able to experience what we experienced, or like maybe what you
They will experience
experienced.
something new
Some-
in a whole different shape and form. And I also feel that eras come back after all this. Once we will, जिस दिन हम थक जाएंगे ना इन सब चीज़ों से,
वो ये चीज वापस
हम
आ जाएगा.
वापस आ जाएंगे उस पे कि छोड़ यार मैं एडजस्ट कर लेता हूँ. So many things you would have decided in your life, जोश में आके मैं ये नहीं करूँगा, and you would have come back to them. There will be an era where people will come back because this is very foundational level. This is a very human need. We want to love somebody and we want to be loved back.
By somebody. So with that, Ravinder, I think whatever we spoke about is so intimate and so real to life, whatever you mentioned and the thoughts. Now with all of this, because what we spoke is little emotional, little too deep, now we come to a little fun part. Okay, and this is one of the sections in all of my episodes, which is called the rapid fire round.
Okay.
So the rules are simple. Like there'll be certain questions that I'll be just asking you, and you have to answer like in
Quickly.
your style,
Yes.
in your way.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the rapid fire round. What's the one thing about modern love that makes you feel lonely today?
Sacrifices, the whole idea of
Compromises and sacrifices.
compromises. Yeah. That I will not compromise makes me feel lonely.
If you could change 3 things in today's relationship forever, what would you do?
I will change one thing. तीन तो याद भी नहीं रहेंगी. Somehow establishing trust. That is the very foundation.
Every person who has gone through a heartbreak, they recover or they heal in their life.
May not be.
And is that okay?
That is okay. But everybody who wants to heal achieves that. You have to want it as much.
As
People give up.
First heartbreak in just one word.
Deep pain.
What's one part of your heart that still hasn't healed?
I can't think of any such part that hasn't healed.
Everything is all good now.
Everything. In fact, there was just one thing that I wanted to relive my childhood with a lot of money because I had almost none. And now I think वो जैसा भी था ना वो अच्छा था. You know, बचपन की वो अमीरी न जाने कहाँ खो गई, वरना कभी बारिशों के पानी में हमारे भी जहाज चला करते थे. That was nice.
Nice. Very nice. One feeling you can never put into words, no matter how much you write.
Love.
Wow. Wow. What's something you wish you could unfeel?
Pain. Actually not. I don't want to unfeel anything. Because I felt pain is what it made me who I am. I don't want to unfeel anything.
3 movie recommendations for people who are broken today.
I don't have any movie recommendations from the world of romance. My all-time favorite is Rang De Basanti for the whole different reason of the civic sense with which we started. I want to go back to that. But there are so many other movies. But for me, my only recommendation is this:
Rang De
bring the
Basanti.
change.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, three tips to heal from your last heartbreak.
Give yourself a new goal. Understand that you are not alone. Count your blessings.
The last question for the same round. Three tips for people in a relationship right now.
Even if you get married, don't give up on the idea of date.
Wow.
Keep going on date nights, and I will repeat this 3 times. Keep going on date nights. Keep going on date nights. Even if you have a kid, even if you are living with your parents, marriages fizzle out because the whole idea of romance fizzles out. You know, we say that अब तो होगी ना शादी, अब मुझे जिम जाके क्या करना, अब तो लहंगा फिट हो गया, वो तो no, do it for your partner, do it for yourself. Keep that romance alive, you know, feel that we have to live together forever, so keep going on date nights.
Great. So I think with that we end this whole episode and this rapid fire round. Ravinder, first of all, I would really love to thank you for coming here and just giving us all the knowledge and insights on your life about your first book, about your first heartbreak. And it is really, I was thinking twice to ask you those questions, but I think you were really a sport to answer those questions. So thank you for that. Before we leave and we exit this set, I want you to give one message to everyone out there, like all the listeners, everyone who's viewing this podcast, one message to all of them.
Thank you so much for having me here. Express more. आप दुनिया का कोई पहाड़ नहीं तोड़ रहे हो अपने अंदर उस चीज़ को छुपा के. एक्सप्रेस इट आउट इर्रेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ योर जेंडर. मैं ऐसा फील करता हूँ, मैं ऐसी फील करती हूँ. दैट्स अबाउट इट. द मोमेंट यू एक्सप्रेस यू विल फाइंड सो मेनी पीपल कैन एम्पथाइज विथ यू.
Great. Thank you so much. So this is Unsaid Feeling with Shanky. We have Ravinder Singh here, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please share this episode with your friends and family, and if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section and we'll be answering all of those things.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for watching the episode, and today's conversation wasn't just a conversation, it was a story of love. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you liked this episode. Don't forget to share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to comment if you have any questions regarding love or relationship, because we are going to answer all of your doubts. So with that, keep watching our podcast and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, The Backstory, on Instagram and on YouTube, because we are coming up with crazy content in the future. Thank you so much and have a great day.